Ever found yourself scrolling through your phone, making a call, or streaming a video, and a little thought pops into your head about who's actually making all this happen? Who are the people behind the networks that connect us all? Today, we're diving deep into one of the biggest names in Canadian telecommunications, Rogers Communications. But instead of just stating the answer, let's unravel the story of ownership, the key players, and the evolution of this massive company. Think about it. Rogers touches the lives of millions of Canadians every single day. From their mobile phone plans to their internet services, cable television, and even their ownership of major sports teams, their influence is undeniable. So, who exactly holds the reins of this influential empire? It's a question with a more nuanced answer than you might initially think. To truly understand who owns Rogers, we need to take a step back and look at its origins. The story begins with a visionary, Edward S. Rogers Sr. In the early 20th century. He was a pioneer in radio technology, a true innovator. He developed the Rogers batteryless radio, a groundbreaking invention that allowed radios to be powered by household electricity instead of batteries. This innovation laid the foundation for a broadcasting and communications legacy. Fast forward several decades, and his son, Edward S. Rogers Jr., took the helm and transformed the company into the telecommunications giant we know today. He had a keen understanding of the future of cable television and mobile communications, making strategic investments that propelled Rogers into a leading position in the Canadian market. Now, getting back to our central question, who owns Rogers? It's not as simple as pointing to a single individual. Today, Rogers Communications Incorporated is a publicly traded company. This means that ownership is distributed among a vast number of shareholders, both large and small. These shareholders own pieces of the company in the form of stocks. When you buy a share of Rogers, you become a part owner, albeit a very small one in most cases. However, while there isn't one single owner, there are significant players who hold substantial stakes and therefore wield considerable influence. One name that consistently comes up when discussing Rogers ownership is the Rogers family itself. Through a family-controlled holding company, they maintain a significant voting interest in Rogers Communications. This allows them to have a strong say in the strategic direction and major decisions of the company. This holding company structure is a common way for founders and their families to maintain control over publicly traded companies. It often involves a dual-class share structure, where one class of shares, typically held by the family, has significantly more voting power than the publicly traded common shares. This ensures that even though the majority of the economic ownership might be dispersed among numerous shareholders, the controlling influence remains concentrated. So, while you can buy shares of Rogers on the stock market, giving you a piece of the ownership pie, the Rogers family, through their controlling interest, remains a central figure in the company's leadership and direction. But the story doesn't end there. Beyond the family and individual investors, institutional investors also play a significant role in the ownership landscape of Rogers. These are large organizations that invest on behalf of others. Think of pension funds managing retirement savings, mutual funds pooling money from many investors, and insurance companies investing their reserves. These institutions often hold substantial blocks of shares in major companies like Rogers. Their investment decisions can have a significant impact on the company's stock price and, to some extent, on its management. While they don't typically have the same level of direct control as the founding family through a dual-class share structure, their collective influence as major shareholders cannot be ignored. They engage with the company's management, vote on important matters at shareholder meetings, and their overall sentiment can shape market perception. Furthermore, the ownership structure of a company like Rogers is not static. It evolves over time as shares are bought and sold on the open market. Mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures can also significantly alter the ownership landscape. In recent years, the Canadian telecommunications industry has seen its fair share of such activity, further complicating the picture of who owns what. The proposed merger between Rogers and Shaw Communications, for example, was a massive development that, had it gone through in its original form, would have significantly reshaped the competitive landscape and, consequently, the ownership structures involved. While parts of that deal did eventually proceed with other players, the initial proposal highlighted the dynamic nature of ownership in this sector. Understanding the ownership structure of a major corporation like Rogers is crucial for several reasons. For investors, it provides insights into who has the most influence on the company's decisions and potential future direction. For consumers, it offers a glimpse into the forces that shape the services they use every day. And for the broader economy, it's important to understand the concentration of power and influence within key industries. It's also worth noting that the concept of ownership in a large, publicly traded company can be viewed from different angles. There's the economic ownership, represented by the percentage of shares held. Then there's the voting power, which, as we discussed with the dual-class share structure, can be disproportionately held by certain individuals or groups. And finally, there's the overall influence and control over the company's strategic direction, which is often a combination of ownership stake, voting rights, and management roles. In the case of Rogers, the Rogers family, through their holding company and significant voting rights, maintain a strong hand in guiding the company's future. While the economic ownership is distributed among a large number of shareholders, the family's influence ensures a degree of continuity and adherence to the long-term vision that has shaped the company over generations. However, this doesn't mean that other shareholders are irrelevant. Institutional investors, in particular, wield considerable influence through their large holdings and their ability to engage with management on key issues. Their perspectives and priorities can certainly shape the company's decisions and strategies. So, to circle back to our initial question, who owns Rogers? The most accurate answer is that Rogers Communications Incorporated is owned by a diverse group of shareholders, ranging from individual investors to large institutional funds. However, the Rogers family, through a carefully structured holding company, maintains a significant controlling interest, giving them substantial influence over the company's direction. This blend of broad public ownership with concentrated family control is a notable feature of Rogers' ownership structure and has played a significant role in its growth and evolution over the years. It's a testament to the vision of its founders and the strategic decisions made across generations. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.